Hey there, wonderful viewers. Have you ever picked up a snack, maybe a bag of chips or a frozen dinner, and wondered if it's really the best choice for your health? If you're over 60 and managing high blood pressure, those choices can make a bigger difference than you might think. I'm so glad you're here today because we're going to dive into something that can truly help you feel your best knowing which foods to avoid to keep your blood pressure in check. High blood pressure or hypertension affects so many of us as we age, but the good news is that small changes in what we eat can have a huge impact. So grab a cozy seat, maybe a cup of tea, and let's talk about how to protect your heart and stay vibrant. In this video, we're going to explore foods that people over 60 with high blood pressure should steer clear of, why they're harmful, and what makes them sneaky culprits. Then, in later sections, we'll share delicious, heart-healthy foods that can help you feel stronger and more energized. My goal is to make this simple, practical, and inspiring so you can walk away feeling empowered to make choices that support your health. I've leaned on advice from world-leading experts like those from the American Heart Association and studies from places like Harvard Medical School to bring you tips you can trust. Ready? Let's start with our first big topic: salty foods and why they're such a challenge for blood pressure. Now you've probably heard that salt is a no-go when it comes to high blood pressure. But do you know why salt or sodium makes your body hold on to water, which increases the pressure in your blood vessels? For folks over 60, our kidneys aren't always as efficient at flushing out extra sodium, so it can build up and push that blood pressure higher. Experts recommend keeping sodium intake to about 1,500 milligrams a day for people with hypertension. That's less than a teaspoon of salt. But here's the tricky part. Salt hides in places you'd never expect. Let's talk about some of the biggest culprits. First up, processed foods. Think about things like canned soups, frozen pizzas, or even those convenient microwave dinners. They're quick. They're tasty, but they're often loaded with sodium. For example, a single can of chicken noodle soup can have over 1,700 milligrams of sodium, more than your entire daily limit in one sitting. I remember my friend Susan, who's 68, and loves her canned soups for lunch. She was shocked when she started reading labels and saw how much sodium was in there. Over time, she noticed her blood pressure creeping up, and her doctor pointed to those salty soups as part of the problem. The sodium in these foods can cause your blood vessels to constrict, raising your blood pressure and putting extra strain on your heart. Over weeks and months, this can increase your risk of heart disease or even a stroke, which is the last thing we want. But it's not just soups. Deli meats like ham, turkey, or salami are another big one. Picture a nice deli sandwich. Maybe you're grabbing one at your favorite cafe or making one at home. Those thinly sliced meats are often cured with salt to preserve them and boost flavor. A couple of slices of ham can easily have 600 milligrams of sodium or more. If you're pairing that with bread, cheese, and maybe some mustard or pickles, that sandwich could hit 1,500 milligrams before you know it. I know my neighbor Tom, who's 72, used to love his daily turkey sandwich, but when he started cutting back on deli meats, he told me he felt less bloated, and his blood pressure readings started looking better at his checkups. Now, let's talk about snacks like chips, pretzels, and crackers. These are so easy to munch on while watching TV or chatting with friends, but they're sodium bombs. A small handful of potato chips can have 200 milligrams of sodium or more, and let's be honest, it's hard to stop at just one handful. The salt in these snacks doesn't just affect your blood pressure right away. It can also make you feel sluggish or dehydrated, which isn't great for staying active as we age. Studies from the National Institutes of Health show that cutting back on high-sodium snacks can lower blood pressure by 5 to 10 points in just a few weeks. That's huge for your heart health. So what can you do instead? Start by checking labels. Look for sodium content per serving and keep an eye on portion sizes. Sometimes a serving is way smaller than what we actually eat. Try swapping out canned soups for homemade versions where you control the salt. Susan started making her own veggie soup with fresh carrot, celery, and a pinch of herbs, and she says it tastes even better. For sandwiches, go for fresh cooked chicken or turkey instead of deli meats. And for snacks, unsalted nuts or fresh fruit can satisfy that crunch craving without the sodium overload. These small swaps can make a big difference, and they're easier than you think. Let's move on to another food to watch out for: processed cheeses. You know those slices of American cheese or cheese spreads that make a grilled cheese sandwich so gooey? They're often packed with sodium and unhealthy fats. A single slice of processed cheese can have 400 milligrams of sodium, and the saturated fats can contribute to plaque buildup in your arteries, which makes it harder for your heart to pump blood. This combo is tough on your blood pressure and overall heart health. Instead, try a small amount of natural cheeses like mozzarella or cheddar, which have less sodium and still give you that creamy flavor. My cousin Linda, who's 65, switched to using fresh mozzarella on her sandwiches, and she says it's just as delicious without making her feel puffy the next day. Now that we've covered salty culprits like processed foods, deli meats, and cheeses, you're probably starting to see how sodium sneaks into our diets. Making these small changes can help you feel lighter, more energized, and in control of your health. In the next part, we'll dive into more foods to avoid, like sugary drinks and certain fats, and why they're trouble for your blood pressure. Stick with me, and we'll keep exploring how to keep your heart happy and your energy high. All right, my friends, let's keep this conversation going. You're doing great by sticking with me as we talk about keeping your blood pressure in check if you're over 60. We've already uncovered how sneaky sodium can be in things like canned soups, deli meats, and processed cheeses. Now let's dive into a few more foods that can make managing high blood pressure trickier than it needs to be. I promise to keep this friendly and practical with tips straight from experts like those at the Mayo Clinic and real-life stories to make it all relatable. So let's get cozy and explore some other culprits to watch out for, starting with sugary drinks and why they're not doing your heart any favors. You might be thinking, sugary drinks, I don't drink soda all day. But these can sneak up on you in ways you might not expect. Think about sweetened iced teas, energy drinks, or even those flavored coffee drinks you grab at the cafe. A single can of soda can have 40 grams of sugar or more, and those fancy coffee drinks with syrups and whipped cream. Sometimes they're pushing 50 grams. Why does this matter for blood pressure? Well, too much sugar can lead to weight gain, and extra weight puts more strain on your heart, making it harder to keep blood pressure down. Plus, studies from the American Heart Association show that sugary drinks can increase inflammation in your body, which tightens blood vessels and raises blood pressure over time. My friend Clara, who's 67, used to love her daily sweet tea. She didn't realize how much sugar was adding up until her doctor pointed out that her blood pressure was climbing. When she switched to unsweetened herbal tea with a splash of lemon, she felt more energized and her readings started to improve. It's not just drinks, though. Those sugary snacks like cookies, cakes, or even healthy granola bars can have the same effect. Many packaged desserts are loaded with refined sugars and unhealthy fats, which can mess with your blood sugar and add extra pounds. For example, a single donut can have 20 grams of sugar and trans fats, which are especially tough on your arteries. Trans fats can raise your bad cholesterol levels, clogging up blood vessels and making your heart work harder. Clara started baking her own oatmeal cookies with just a touch of honey instead of grabbing store-bought sweets, and she swears they taste just as good. The key is to look for hidden sugars on labels. Words like corn syrup, dextrose, or maltose are red flags. Try reaching for a piece of fruit or a small square of dark chocolate when you want something sweet. It's a small change that can make your heart a whole lot happier. Now let's talk about another big one: red meat and processed meats. I know a juicy steak or a hot dog at a barbecue can be so tempting, but red meats like beef or pork are often high in saturated fats, which can raise your cholesterol and put extra pressure on your blood vessels. Processed meats like sausages, bacon, or hot dogs are even worse because they combine those fats with a ton of sodium. A single hot dog can have over 500 milligrams of sodium and 5 grams of saturated fat. Eating these regularly can lead to stiffer arteries, which makes it harder for blood to flow smoothly and keeps your blood pressure high. My neighbor George, who's 70, used to grill sausages every weekend. When he cut back and started choosing leaner proteins like chicken or fish, he noticed he wasn't feeling as sluggish after meals, and his doctor was thrilled with his lower blood pressure numbers. Don't worry, you don't have to give up flavor. Try grilling some skinless chicken or a piece of salmon instead. Season them with herbs like rosemary or garlic for a delicious twist without the sodium or fat. George now makes a mean herb-crusted chicken that's become a hit at his family cookouts. If you're craving something hearty, go for smaller portions of lean cuts like a 3-ounce serving of sirloin, and pair it with lots of veggies. These swaps keep your meals satisfying while being kind to your heart. Another food to watch out for is canned or pickled vegetables. You might think vegetables are healthy, right? And you're not wrong, but canned versions like pickled beets or green beans often come packed in brine, which is loaded with sodium. A small serving of canned pickles can have 300 to 500 milligrams of sodium, which can quickly add up. Even low-sodium versions can still have more salt than you'd expect. Fresh or frozen veggies are a much better bet because they don't have added salt. My cousin Ellen, who's 64, used to keep a jar of pickles in her fridge for snacking. When she switched to fresh cucumber slices with a sprinkle of dill, she found they were just as crunchy and flavorful without making her feel bloated or spiking her blood pressure. So, how can you make these changes stick? Start small. Maybe swap out one sugary drink a day for water with a slice of fruit, or try a meatless meal once a week with something like a lentil stew. Check labels for sodium and sugar content, and don't be afraid to experiment with spices to keep things tasty. These little steps add up, and your heart will thank you for it. Experts from the Cleveland Clinic say that cutting back on these foods can lower your blood pressure by up to 8 points in just a month. Imagine how good that would feel. As we wrap up this part, you're probably starting to feel more confident about spotting those troublemakers in your diet. We've covered sugary drinks, sweet snacks, red and processed meats, and canned veggies. Next, we'll shift gears and start exploring foods that are fantastic for your blood pressure, things that can make you feel stronger and more vibrant. Stay tuned, because we're about to get into some delicious ways to support your health. Welcome back, my wonderful friends. I'm so thrilled you're here as we continue our journey to help you manage high blood pressure and feel your absolute best, especially if you're over 60. We've already talked about foods to avoid like salty processed foods, sugary drinks, and heavy meats, and how they can sneakily push your blood pressure up. Now, let's flip the script and dive into something exciting. Foods that are not only delicious but also fantastic for your heart. These are the foods that can help lower your blood pressure, boost your energy, and keep you feeling vibrant. I'm pulling from advice backed by experts like those at the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, so you know it's solid. Let's jump in with our first heart-healthy superstar, leafy greens. Oh, leafy greens are like nature's gift to your blood vessels. Think spinach kale, Swiss chard, or even romaine lettuce. These greens are packed with potassium, a mineral that helps your body flush out excess sodium through urine, which eases the pressure in your blood vessels. Potassium also helps your blood vessel walls relax, making it easier for blood to flow. A cup of cooked spinach, for example, has about 800 milligrams of potassium. That's a big step toward the 700 milligrams experts recommend daily. My friend Margaret, who's 69, started adding a handful of spinach to her morning smoothie. She blends it with a banana and some yogurt, and she says it's like a little energy boost that keeps her going all day. Plus, her blood pressure readings have been steadier since she made this a habit. Leafy greens are also low in calories, so they're great for keeping your weight in check, which is another way to support healthy blood pressure. Not a smoothie fan? No problem. Toss some kale into a soup or make a simple salad with romaine and a light vinaigrette. Just go easy on the dressing. Store-bought ones can sneak in sodium or sugar. Margaret now makes her own dressing with olive oil, lemon juice, and a pinch of garlic, and it's become her go-to. Studies from the DASH diet. Dietary approaches to stop hypertension show that eating more leafy greens can lower your blood pressure by 5 to 10 points over a few weeks. That's like giving your heart a big, warm hug. Next up, let's talk about berries. Strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, you name it. These little bursts of sweetness are loaded with antioxidants called flavonoids, which help reduce inflammation and keep your blood vessels flexible. Flexible blood vessels mean better blood flow and lower blood pressure. Blueberries, for instance, have a compound called anthocyanin that's been shown in studies from Harvard to reduce the risk of hypertension by up to 12% when eaten regularly. My neighbor Paul, who's 66, started keeping a bowl of mixed berries in his fridge for a quick snack. He says they're sweet enough to satisfy his dessert cravings, and he's noticed he feels less stiff and achy after his daily walks. Berries are also high in fiber, which helps control blood sugar and keeps you feeling full, so you're less likely to reach for those sugary snacks we talked about earlier. You can toss berries on your oatmeal, mix them into yogurt, or just eat them by the handful. They're so versatile. If fresh berries are pricey, frozen ones work just as well. They're picked at their peak and retain all those amazing nutrients. Paul buys frozen blueberries in bulk and says they're a lifesaver for his budget and his health. Now, let's not forget about whole grains like oats, quinoa, and brown rice. These are fantastic for your heart because they're rich in fiber, which helps lower bad cholesterol and keeps your blood sugar steady. Stable blood sugar means less strain on your blood vessels, which is key for managing blood pressure. Oats, in particular, have something called beta-glucan, a type of fiber that's been shown to reduce blood pressure by up to 7 points, according to research from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. My cousin Diane, who's 71, switched from white bread to whole grain bread and started having oatmeal for breakfast. She told me she feels fuller longer and doesn't get those mid-morning energy crashes anymore. Her doctor even noticed her blood pressure trending downward at her last checkup. If you're new to whole grains, start small. Try oatmeal with a sprinkle of cinnamon and some berries for breakfast, or swap white rice for brown rice at dinner. Quinoa is another great option. It's easy to cook and adds a nutty flavor to salads or stir-fries. Diane now makes a quinoa salad with cucumbers and a little olive oil, and it's become her go-to lunch. So what have we learned? Leafy greens, berries, and whole grains are like your heart's best friends, packed with potassium, antioxidants, and fiber to keep your blood pressure in check and your energy up. These foods aren't just good for you, they're delicious and easy to add to your daily routine. Small changes like a handful of spinach in your smoothie or a bowl of berries for a snack can make a big difference. Experts say that sticking to a diet rich in these foods can lower your blood pressure by up to 11 points over time, which could mean fewer medications and more energy to enjoy life. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's your favorite way to enjoy leafy greens or berries? Have you tried any of these swaps and noticed a difference? Your stories inspire others, so don't be shy. If you found this helpful, give the video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so we can keep sharing tips to keep you feeling fantastic. We've got more delicious, heart-healthy foods to explore, so stick with me for the next part, where we'll dive into even more ways to nourish your body and keep your blood pressure happy. Here's to your health and happiness. Stay vibrant. Hello again, my amazing friends. I'm so happy you're back with me as we keep exploring how to keep your blood pressure in check and feel fantastic, especially if you're over 60. We've already talked about steering clear of sneaky culprits like salty processed foods and sugary drinks, and we've discovered some heart-healthy heroes like leafy greens, berries, and whole grains. Now, let's dive deeper into more foods that can work wonders for your blood pressure and overall energy. These are simple, delicious choices that can make you feel stronger and more vibrant, backed by advice from experts like those at the Cleveland Clinic and real-life stories to keep it relatable. So let's get started with another superstar for your heart-fatty fish. Fatty fish, like salmon, mackerel, and sardines, are absolute gems for your blood pressure. They're rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which are like a soothing balm for your blood vessels. Omega-3s help reduce inflammation, keep your arteries flexible, and lower the levels of triglycerides, a type of fat in your blood that can contribute to high blood pressure. A 3-ounce serving of salmon, for example, has about 1,800 milligrams of omega-3s, which is a big step toward the 2,000 to 3,000 milligrams experts recommend weekly for heart health. My friend Robert, who's 68, started adding grilled salmon to his dinners twice a week. He told me he not only loves the flavor, but also feels less stiffness in his joints, and his doctor noticed his blood pressure was trending lower. Studies from the American Heart Association show that eating fatty fish regularly can lower blood pressure by 4 to 6 points, which is a big win for your heart. Don't worry if fish isn't your usual go-to. It's easier to include than you might think. Try baking a salmon fillet with a squeeze of lemon and some fresh dill. It's simple and tastes amazing. If fresh fish is pricey, canned sardines or mackerel are budget-friendly and just as nutritious. Robert mixes canned sardines with a little mustard and spreads it on whole-grain crackers for a quick lunch. Just make sure to choose fish packed in water or olive oil, not brine, to avoid extra sodium. If you're not a fish fan, you can talk to your doctor about a fish oil supplement, but whole foods are always the best place to start. Next, let's talk about nuts and seeds. Think almonds, walnuts, chia seeds, or flax seeds. These little powerhouses are packed with healthy fats, fiber, and minerals like magnesium, which helps relax your blood vessels and keep blood pressure steady. A small handful of unsalted almonds, about an ounce, has around 80 milligrams of magnesium, which is a great start toward the 400 milligrams daily recommended for older adults. Magnesium also helps with muscle cramps, which can be a bonus if you're staying active. My neighbor Susan, who's 70, started sprinkling chia seeds on her yogurt in the morning. She says it's like adding a little crunch, and she's noticed she feels more energized for her daily walks. Research from the Journal of Hypertension shows that getting enough magnesium from foods like nuts and seeds can lower blood pressure by up to 5 points over time. The key with nuts and seeds is to keep portions small because they're calorie-dense. Stick to about a quarter cup a day, and always choose unsalted versions to avoid sodium. Try tossing walnuts into a salad or blending flax seeds into a smoothie for an easy boost. Susan keeps a small container of mixed nuts in her kitchen for a quick snack, and it's helped her cut back on salty chips. These small swaps are so doable and make a big difference for your heart. Now, let's shine a spotlight on bananas. One of the simplest, most affordable foods for blood pressure. Bananas are loaded with potassium, which we talked about earlier as a sodium buster. One medium banana has about 400 milligrams of potassium, plus fiber and vitamin C, which support overall heart health. Vitamin C acts as an antioxidant, protecting your blood vessels from damage that can raise blood pressure. My cousin Frank, who's 65, started keeping bananas on his counter for a grab-and-go snack. He says they're sweet enough to satisfy his sugar cravings, and he's noticed his blood pressure readings are more consistent. The DASH diet studies back this up, showing that potassium-rich foods like bananas can lower blood pressure by 4 to 8 points when eaten regularly. Bananas are so versatile, you can slice them onto oatmeal, blend them into a smoothie, or just eat them as is. If bananas aren't your thing, other potassium-rich fruits like oranges or kiwis work just as well. Frank sometimes pairs a banana with a handful of unsalted almonds for a balanced snack that keeps him full and energized. It's these little habits that add up to big results. So what's the takeaway? Fatty fish nuts and seeds and bananas are like your heart's cheerleaders packed with omega-3s, magnesium and potassium to keep your blood pressure in check and your energy high. These foods are easy to find, simple to prepare, and oh so good for you. Experts say that building a diet around these choices can lower your blood pressure significantly, sometimes even reducing the need for medication. Imagine how great it would feel to have more energy for your grandkids, your garden, or that hobby you love. I'd love to hear from you. What's your favorite way to enjoy salmon or bananas? Have you tried adding nuts to your meals? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your ideas could inspire someone else. If you're finding these tips helpful, give this video a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so we can keep sharing ways to stay vibrant. We've got one more section coming up where we'll wrap up with more heart-healthy foods and a few final tips to keep you feeling your best. Here's to your health and happiness. Stay tuned. Hey there, my incredible friends. We're in the home stretch now, and I'm so excited to wrap up this journey with you. If you're over 60 and managing high blood pressure, you've already learned so much about foods to avoid, like salty snacks and sugary drinks, and some amazing heart-healthy choices, like leafy greens, berries, and fatty fish. Now let's finish strong with a few more foods that can help lower your blood pressure and keep you feeling vibrant and full of life. These are practical, delicious options backed by experts from places like the Mayo Clinic, and I'll share some stories to make it all feel close to home. So let's dive in with another fantastic food for your heart beans and legumes. Beans and legumes like black beans, lentils, chickpeas, or kidney beans are absolute powerhouses for your blood pressure. They're packed with fiber, protein, and potassium, all of which work together to keep your heart happy. The fiber in beans helps lower cholesterol levels, which reduces the strain on your blood vessels, while potassium helps flush out excess sodium. A half cup of cooked black beans, for example, has about 600 milligrams of potassium and 8 grams of fiber, making it a double win for your heart. My friend Joan, who's 72, started adding lentils to her soups and salads after her doctor suggested more plant-based meals. She says her digestion feels better, and her blood pressure has been more stable at her checkups. Studies from the DASH diet show that eating beans regularly can lower blood pressure by 6 to 8 points, which is huge for staying active and feeling great. Beans are so easy to work into your meals. Toss some chickpeas into a salad, make a hearty lentil soup, or blend black beans into a veggie burger patty. Joan now keeps canned beans rinsed to remove extra sodium in her pantry for quick meals. If you're using canned beans, rinsing them can cut the sodium by up to 40%, so it's a simple trick to make them even healthier. Not sure where to start? Try a bowl of chili with kidney beans and lots of veggies. It's comforting, filling, and so good for you. Next, let's talk about avocados. Yes, avocados are like a creamy, dreamy treat for your heart. They're loaded with heart-healthy monounsaturated fats, which can lower bad cholesterol and keep your blood vessels flexible. Avocados also have potassium, about 700 milligrams in a medium avocado, and magnesium, both of which help relax your blood vessels and lower blood pressure. My neighbor Carol, who's 67, started spreading avocado on her morning toast instead of butter. She loves the rich flavor, and she's noticed she feels less bloated and her blood pressure readings are looking better. Research from the American Heart Association suggests that replacing unhealthy fats with avocado can lower blood pressure by up to 5 points over time. You can slice avocado onto sandwiches, blend it into a smoothie, or even use it as a base for a simple guacamole with fresh tomatoes and a squeeze of lime. Carol makes a quick avocado toast with a sprinkle of pepper and says it's her new favorite breakfast. Just keep portions to about a quarter or half an avocado to manage calories, and you're golden. It's such an easy way to add a heart-healthy boost to your day. Finally, let's talk about dark chocolate. Yes, you heard that right. A small amount of dark chocolate, at least 70%. Cocoa can be a heart-healthy treat. It's rich in flavonoids, the same antioxidants we found in berries, which help widen blood vessels and improve blood flow. A 1-ounce square of dark chocolate, about 100 calories, can satisfy your sweet tooth without spiking your blood sugar like sugary desserts. My cousin Henry, who's 70, used to reach for cookies after dinner, but he switched to a square of dark chocolate with his evening tea. He says it feels like a little indulgence, and his doctor was happy to see his blood pressure holding steady. Studies from Harvard show that small amounts of dark chocolate can lower blood pressure by 2 to 4 points, especially when paired with a healthy diet. The key is moderation. 1 or 2 squares, not the whole bar. Look for dark chocolate with low sugar and no added sodium. Henry keeps a bar in his kitchen and breaks off a small piece when he wants a treat. It's a simple way to enjoy something sweet while being kind to your heart. So, what's the big picture here? Beans, avocados, and a touch of dark chocolate are delicious ways to support your blood pressure and feel your best. These foods are packed with fiber-healthy fats and antioxidants that work together to keep your heart strong and your energy high. Small changes like adding beans to a meal, spreading avocado on toast, or savoring a square of dark chocolate can make a huge difference. Experts say that building a diet with these foods can lower your blood pressure significantly, sometimes even reducing the need for extra medication. Imagine having more energy for your hobbies, your family, or just enjoying a sunny day. I'd love to hear from you. What's your favorite way to enjoy beans or avocados? Have you tried dark chocolate as a heart-healthy treat? Share your stories in the comments below. Your ideas could inspire someone else to try something new. If you found these tips helpful, please give this video a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so we can keep sharing ways to keep you feeling vibrant. Small steps lead to big results, and you're doing amazing just by being here. Here's to your health, your happiness, and feeling fantastic every day. Stay wonderful.